Chicken feeds the world. But what if there was a better method of production that was better for everything involved? The land, the chickens, the people. What if it tasted better and was healthier for us? What if it fueled local economies and connected communities back to the farms their food comes from? Pastured poultry isn't new to the planet, but it's new to the modern market. We think the world should know about it. In today's world, people are concerned with where their meat comes from. In chicken farming, production is primarily disconnected from the consumer, leaving a lot of unanswered questions. Pastured poultry is transparent. We want people to know how we grow our chickens.
So pastured poultry is chickens were raised in as natural environment as you can. And for us, that means putting them out here, right here on the pasture with daily moves. So they have constant access to fresh pasture, bugs, grass, scratching in the dirt, doing things that make a chicken a chicken.
Pastured poultry is pretty much just raising chickens on grass. That's the simple version. There's a lot in that. It means daily rotations. It means managing the grass, managing the birds. We do it for a lot of reasons. It produces a better product. It's good for the land. Instead of the manure that the birds produce being a problem, it's an asset. It builds our fields, builds the soil, builds the local wildlife ecology. And it produces a better product. The birds get exercise. It directly affects the tone of the meat. And it also imparts flavor. The birds pick up a lot of bugs, grains, grass, legumes. There's a wide variety of things that they eat. That also helps build the flavor.
The nutrient cycling and environmental footprint of pastured poultry is brilliant. Chickens consume vegetation and insects and deposit it directly back in the form of manure, helping build soils. Specialized mobile chicken pens protect them from predators and provide shade and shelter. The pens are moved daily, allowing birds fresh grass and bugs. They also have daily access to high-quality rations.
Typically in pastured poultry, our producers strive to have the best feed possible, which can be different than the traditional poultry industry where they're trying to be as cost-effective as possible. By running them out on pasture, we don't need antibiotics because we're constantly moving them onto the fresh ground. We don't need medications like coccidiostats, which aren't labeled, but most chickens in the United States have that consumers aren't aware of because our chickens are clean. So poultry originally were outdoors, but then as the industry grew, they went indoors specifically because of challenges faced by nature. You had predation, you had weather, you had disease. But we're learning that it's actually chickens do better outside in terms of health, in terms of freshness of air, the sunshine, the disinfecting aspects of UV light, wind. Pastured poultry harnesses the good things about nature.
The first time you see a chicken on a pasture grazing, it's an amazing experience. As close as you can see a chicken smile as possible.
The sounds that they're making, like on a morning like this, really makes me happy. Just because you can tell that they're engaged in they're just engaged in their world.
They truly love being outdoors. They love dusting themselves in the sun, sunbathing, eating and chasing bugs, eating grass.
It's about incorporating a diversity of animals and plants where animals are a part of a landscape.
Chickens being exposed to an environment like that create a product that is, you can't believe how special it is.
They do something that we can't do. They take bugs, which I don't want to eat, and grass, which wouldn't do me any good to eat, and mix that with grain, and they create a little package.
So every day they get moved, you can see the little squares going up the field, where they were yesterday, day before. And that whole procedure takes less than 60 seconds. And so Every morning, they get their linen changed, their bedding changed. It's like a hotel, man. It's better than a hotel. This is where we say good farming should be aesthetically and aromatically, sensually romantic. If you're walking around holding your nose and the 5-year-old is saying, ooh, yuck, it's ugly, it's probably not good farming. When people say, well, what's the criteria? On our little bags there, we say healing the land one bite at a time. And basically we've come, if it's not healing, it's not good. If we just ask the question, does this heal? It would fundamentally change the amount of Coca-Cola we drink and the kind of entertainment we do. I mean, is there anything really healing about the Kardashians? Good, healthy pasture has a bacteria called methanotrophic bacteria. That methanotrophic bacteria gobbles up and metabolizes more methane than can possibly be produced by double the amount of cows that could ever be grown on that pasture. So when the grass gets too long for the chickens, then we bring the cows in to mow the grass down for the chickens. When they're mobbed up, they have to graze very aggressively and haphazardly. We call them equal opportunity graziers, okay? They're just taking it rapidly because they know that there's a 1,000 behind them, and if I don't eat this right now, there's not going to be any left in 30 minutes. And so that accelerated, aggressive grazing actually helps to prune everything on the landscape and not just let the unpalatables go to seed and begin to dominate. So it changes the successional vegetation of the landscape. And so our mandate is not to adulterate that or think we're smarter than that, but how do we duplicate that template and cut it like a pattern and lay it down on our piece of property and duplicate that synergy of nature. All right, the average American farmer is now 60 years old. Now, business analysts will always tell you that whenever an economic sector goes over 35 years old as the age of the average practitioner, that is an economic sector in decline. So what a farmer brings to the land is what makes it a farm. And so if what the farmer brings to the land can be mobile, then any piece of property can have a farm business built on it without having to own the land. You just have to have access to it. If you look closely, the horizontals have a stainless steel thread woven through. That's what carries the spark. This is space age stuff. I don't want anybody leaving here today saying, oh, we went to this farm, it was like Grandpa's farm. This is nothing like Grandpa's farm. Listen, to have a bear, coyote, dog, possum, raccoon, chicken-proof fence that 150 feet of it only weighs 12 pounds and a person can take it down and put it up in 10 minutes, Grandpa would have given his eye teeth for something like that. In Augusta County, the average cow days per acre is 80 per year. So an acre will support 1 cow for 80 days a year or 80 cows for 1 day a year. Our average is 400 cow days per acre. And we've never planted a seed or bought a bag of chemical fertilizer in 60 years. Moving, mobbing, mowing. If you take the herbivore out of its mission on any one or all three, and most, 95% of all the herbivore domestic livestock in the world is not functioning in at least one, and in America, mostly all three. They're not moving, they're in the same field all the time. They're not mowing, they're in a feedlot, and they're not mobbed up, they're spread out indiscriminately across. It takes 100 years for land that's plowed one time for it to return to all the species that were there before the day it was plowed. Not about destruction, it is about actually releasing the next forest, keeping it healthy, creating an extremely diversified ecology with more different kind of plants than would be here in any other static kind of system, and doing it with enough care that actually builds the ecology, builds soil, and grows food at the same time. Where we are today is a result of those eating decisions we've made up until now, and where our grandchildren will be when they're our age will also be a cumulative effect of the eating decisions that we've made between now and then.